Is it true that one of your toughest phone calls was, of all that you had to deal with, was about your pregnancy?
I was, I want to say 8 weeks pregnant. The story I tell about being in Buckingham Palace. 3 days later, the story breaks about Anthony being in communication online with other women. And 2 days later, I get a phone call from my friend Philippe. He said, this is a very awkward conversation for me, but the New York Times has called and they're about to report that you're pregnant. And is there anything you want to share? And he obviously didn't know. And I was so mad. I had so much rage. I felt like this secret. I hadn't told anybody. We told our parents and our siblings. And so he said, do you want to tell Hillary? Do you want to call people? I said, no, I dare them. I dare them to run this story. I'm not even 12 weeks pregnant. And of course they did. And I was so shattered. I was so broken by not being able to share what for me was a once in a lifetime gift.
Yes.
That till today, and I did it yesterday in the kitchen, that I wander around and when I'm in the shower or shopping, I'll just say, I'm pregnant. And I say it because I never got to say it before. And yesterday, Jordan said to me, Mommy, you're pregnant? And I'm like, no. But it reminds you that there are things that do stay with you.
I so appreciate hearing that because it's not always what you expect is the moment. Yeah. Here's what I mean. So when I got that phone call from Chris Miller of, I got to tell you something is coming out. It wasn't the pregnancy I feared. It was being caught drinking. And I felt like this was my shame. And I was almost relieved when it wasn't that. When people find out your deepest, darkest secrets, and I experienced that when I was 13 years old and got outed and thrown into an institution and career over, I have such PTSD from that I think if someone's going to catch me drinking again, I'm going to lose my career. I'm going to lose my job that I love so much. And it's so traumatizing. And that was my thing. And it carries with it so much shame. Yeah. How did you deal with that?
The first time Anthony and I sat down after his first, the first revelation about his communication with women online, I felt, and we went away, we went to Texas to therapy. I didn't understand anything. I didn't understand anything about, behavior that you couldn't control. I didn't understand addiction. I didn't know anybody growing up really who was divorced or split up. These weren't things you talked about in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And I felt like the minute it was all out, he seemed so relieved. He was almost like an unburdening. And he said, well, how do I stop the behavior and how do I fix it? And I fully believed he could knock it off. 100% thought in 2011, when this first happened, he could just stop. And then we learned later when he ran for mayor of New York City in 2013, when there was another revelation that he clearly couldn't stop it. So every time I would get a call, whether it was from Anthony or Philippe, as we talked about, every time it was a call or a text saying, this tabloid called, or I have to tell you something, it is how bad is it? And living within this world of it's not going to be as bad as I think it is, it's going to be worse because it always was. And that's why in 2019, and I do share the story in the book of really when I got to the end of I contemplated stepping off a subway platform. It was really my low of the low. And when I did that, there were two things that came to me. As number one, all of this holding everything and all of this anger and bitterness was only hurting me. As something I later learned with Anthony in therapy is that while pain might be necessary, suffering is optional.
Yeah. We have to go to another commercial really quickly, but we will be right back.